Thank you for making time for us. And we're going to be talking about the year one, where you pressed pause on work. And we want to hear all about it. So maybe
Yes.
start by telling us what were you working on? Kwa maana ya kazi, just to give us a context. Kwa sababu
Yeah.
tunaenda kuongelea ulikuwa ni mfanyakazi, then ukapause. So talk to us. We want to hear, was this a job you liked? Was this a job that you are working on the areas that you are passionate about or anything like that? Tell us what you were doing.
Okay. Thank you very much, Neema Grace, and thank you everyone for being here. So my job before I left corporate, I was a business development expert. If we want to go into titles, kabisa, I was a quotes and tenders lead. So I worked in logistics for the past 9 years and 2 months, to be specific, before I quit. And I did not start in the business development department. I started as a receptionist. So I started as a receptionist in 2016. I worked my way all up into being the head of the department that I have stated. So when I say I was quotes and tenders lead, it means that in all the 15 countries that we operate in, I was responsible for quotations to clients and the tender submissions that were supposed to go out to clients. So in LinkedIn words, I would say I was offering logistical support services solutions to mining and oil and gas companies in East and Southern Africa. That's the complicated term for it. But in simple terms, it's that I used to receive tender documents for what clients would want for their project logistically. Then I was to translate what we could do as a company and tell them how we'll do the work. And yes, and hopefully they award us the job as a company. So that's what I used to work in. And for me, it was a very full experience working where I used to work because I think I did all departments because I worked in reception, admin, HR. At some point, I did accounting. At some point, I worked in operations, but for me, it was field work. So I was the last drilling campaign that BG Shell had at Mtwara. I was at the Mtwara port, worked there for like 3 months, best experience, got to understand oil and gas operations inside out. Then I was brought back to doing the business development work full time. So I have had that privilege and also having knowledge of the logistical setup of the East and Southern Africa, because we're operating in 15 countries. And for me to be able to curate logistical solutions for different clients, especially in mining and oil and gas, I needed to understand the logistical setup in different countries in East and Southern Africa. So it was quite an interesting role. I thrived off it because I'm a high performing individual. I love deadlines. And it was also a role that made me understand that I don't work well in teams and it's not something to be ashamed of. It's okay. Not everybody is supposed to lead a team. So I learned so much on that job. I can't discredit that. I hope, Neema, I've answered what you needed me to clarify so far.
Yes, and it was actually very satisfying to listen to you talking about your job and how that was. So if we ask you, did you know from the beginning, or when exactly did you know that you needed a mini pause kwenye kazi yako? Like the way you're talking about it so passionately keeps us wondering if you are actually enjoying doing all that. What was it? What was the moment that actually told you maybe I need a pause? And is this something that you knew tangu unaanza? Au ni kitu ambacho? Like, talk to us about the process that led you to this decision.
Yeah. So as I said, I thrived off the pressure that the job came with. And I think the first time that pressure became something that was not pleasant, as I shared on my socials, was in July 2021. I missed an email. I was on leave, and then it became a whole thing. I was on the phone with all, all two directors and other managers, and just something small that even with the client, when I went back to the client, it wasn't that much of a big deal, but they made it so big. And that's the first time I ever thought, I think I need to move. But what made me stay is because when I called my plan B, Baba, may his soul rest in peace, akaniambia hebu subiri kidogo, nipe kama mwezi mmoja hivi afu nikurudie. So, and we all know what happened after huo mwezi mmoja. So he got ill and life just went upside down. But then again came 2023, when I'd already gotten deep into my retire early journey, which I'd started in April 2020. I stumbled upon something called mini retirements. And then I was like, oh, so I don't have to wait until 40 to really taste how time freedom feels like. I could mini retire. So I went into a deep dive. There's a podcast called Retire Often. Guilty as charged. I've listened to every episode. I also bought her book. Her name is Julian, so I have it on my shelf. That's how committed I was into it. Then I journal a lot, but in 2023, my journaling was around mini retirement. So I was asking myself questions. I was trying to understand how to go about it. Even the things that I'm doing now are things I'd listed in 2023. So that's when the idea was born. I was like how Julian puts it, the host of the Retire Often podcast, is that she says, why retire once while you can retire often? So that excited me, and that's where the idea was born. So I would say the first time I knew I should leave corporate was July 2021. But when I started thinking about mini retirements was in 2023. That whole year, that's the only thing I did. And if you've been into the mini retirement masterclass, the recorded version is available for anybody who's interested. I've even shown screenshots of those journals that I had, because I was using a digital journal app. So I put in everything there. You see the dates and everything. So that was the main focus for me, Neema.
Great. So the fact that you knew this in July 2021, do you think it would happen then if you wanted to? Or was the pause necessary? Like, did you have everything planned then? Did you know what you needed to do then?
No, I didn't know what I needed to do then, because let's go back. So April 2020 is when I decide I want to retire at 40.
Okay.
So I'm still learning. I'm still learning about FIRE, financial independence, retire early, something also I teach on a lot. So I'm still learning what that is. I'm still refining my goals. And mind you, I'd already calculated my financial independence number, na nikaona ni kubwa, sikujua naifikiaje. Nikawa nimejiwekea lengo la nifike milioni 100 kwanza, then I see if I can really get to that financial independence number. Now, we all know that I arrived at 100 million in liquid assets April 2022. So July 2021, no, I did not. Hata ningeacha, I think, and this is something Baba knew. That's why he said, give me a month. Maybe he thought I was just mad. I would come down after a month. I was not ready to move. But as I said, Baba was my plan B. So I knew as long as akisema ndio, let's do this, we would figure out the rest. If it was going into business, I just knew as long as yeye alikuwepo, tunge figure out what to do. That's why he said, give me a month. So no, financially I was not prepared. But I knew it was going to be okay, because I could always go back home. Guys, the privilege of having home, whereby, and for being a woman, you can always go back home. It's a privilege that sometimes I think men don't have, or some people don't have, because they do not have homes, or their parents don't own homes. So that there's that also. So I was thinking, and I think it would be okay to do it in 2021, Neema, because you're still building your career. You still have time to bounce back than if I would have done it later. Financially, I was not prepared, but I don't think ingeaffect chochote sana zaidi ya kwamba maybe kuretire at 40 ningewahi zaidi, kwa sababu labda ningekuja kitaa, ningeanza kufanya biashara, maybe I would have made more money than being in employment, you never know.
Okay, that's really good to know kwa sababu, well, jinsi ambavyo tumeona hii safari yako ya mini retirement, maybe some of us even thought this is something you knew from the beginning. Maybe you had, like, maybe you didn't have to plan so much, na nini. But it's really good to know that there is a background story to it. Talk to us about when you learned that you needed to plan and actually come up with it. You talked about the financial independence number. Can you tell us a bit how to calculate that and when you did that and how long did it take mpaka ulivyofikia sasa retirement yenyewe?
Okay, so how do we put this? So the financial independence number, and I believe, Neema Grace, we've discussed this in the podcast we did previously for the 100 million journey. The financial independence number is amount of money that you have saved up or invested or both, that if that money is there, it means work can be optional. You don't have to work for a living. You don't have to do work you do not want to do. That's what we mean when we say to retire early, meaning that the returns from that portfolio that you've built can run your life. Or if you withdraw from the portfolio over a course of 30 years, it can take care of your life. And as I said, it's based, the way I teach on how to calculate it, it's based of William Bennigan, whose theory or all this thing is based on the American stock market, which gives us an advantage, because if you guys mlimsikiliza Eric alisema our stock markets are outperforming the American stock markets in the, like, that's the truth, that's the reality, right? So it means if we use that formula, then we might have more than enough. So you take your monthly expenses, you multiply it by 12 to get your annual expenses, then you multiply them by 25. This is in conjunction with the rule called the 4% rule, whereby we assume that if you have that pot of money, that portfolio that you're building, if every year you take out 4%, it will be equal to your annual expenses, and it can last you for 30 plus years without you running out. So that's the formula we use. So you will do your calculations, and the beauty about your financial independence number is that it keeps changing. It will keep changing, because as you grow also in your financial freedom journey, your taste also inabadilika. Namba nilio-calculate in 2020 na namba niliokuwa nayo leo, ya leo, it's almost over 3 times, over 3 times the one I calculated in 2020. And in 2020 nilivyo-calculate ile namba nilikuwa naiona kubwa sana. Today I have surpassed that number by far. So you see, that's why I usually say it's a mindset thing. Mtu anaweza akasema leo hii anahitaji milioni 600, akaiona ni kubwa sana, and then 3 years later she looks back and she's like, hey, ile namba ilikuwa ni ndogo because now I'm chasing maybe 2 billion, right? So there's also that. So that's how you calculate the number. And the number can change. And the number also, as you go on every quarter, as you check how you're doing with your portfolio, you also need to factor in for inflation. But as I said, it's based off the stock market. Yeah, Marekani, our stock markets are doing better. If you're investing here, it means you're better off if you're using that formula. It's a very detailed, because this is the heart of FIRE, Financial Independence Retire Early, and we have a whole masterclass that we did. And the beauty about it, we also brought in Abbas, who shared how, as an investor in the stock market, you can invest on the different stages of the economy cycle. So if you're somebody who's interested, there's a whole 4 hours of this, and the recorded is available. So I hope, Neema Grace, that answers your question.
Yeah, kwa kiasi kikubwa sana.
Okay.
Can you tell us a bit about the actual day where you paused?
Okay, so it's quite an emotional day. So what happened is, niliingia ofisini. I had a deadline as usual. I was busy chasing my deadlines. There's some, my deadline was for 4 p.m. that day. It was a Friday. But I'm usually responsible when I say for the technical is you know, when people tell a client it will cost you this much. So I was explaining why it cost that much and how it was going to cost that much and what needed to be in place. So that was my work. So we were still missing a lot of things. I was aware of that, but I knew that it would be sorted. It's not the first time we were trying to get things done on a short period of time. Then I was called in the office in the morning, yelled at. I went back to my seat, called again back in the office, yelled at. And it's not my stuff. And I was fine until when the second time I was walking back to my seat, I got so mad. And I was just like, what is this? Why am I taking this? Why? Like, I don't understand why I'm still taking this. I've been saving, I've been investing. Why am I still here? So then I got mad, I cried, I screamed. After that, I sat down, wrote my email, scheduled it for 16:18 p.m. And basically, I didn't even bother to finish that submission. I think I made a call to my boss in South Africa and I told him he needs to take care of it. And he took charge of that. So that's what happened. The reason why I was able to do what I did was because I knew if worse comes to worse, I had savings and investments, yani nisingekuja kuteseka kitaa. Because I've been doing that for the past 6 years, 5 years diligently. I was saving up, investing, and motivating others to do the same. And I think it gets to a point whereby the freedom we talk about that money has to buy for us. At some point, you have to test a bit of it. So that was my point. I needed to test a bit of the hard work I've been putting in. I'll say 5 years, but mind you, again, I started in 2014. So that was a long time. So I needed to test the fruits of my labor at some point.
Okay, and so sorry about that experience, but I think maybe it was necessary to push you to the haze that you had to go to. I understand you mentioned kwamba pengine hiyo decision usingeifikia kama ungekuwa haujasevia ama hujakuwa na actual savings that could push you ahead. Did you have a plan ya kusevia siku kama hii ambayo pengine maki nafikiria watu wengi hapa ndani wawekezaji kwa kila mtu kwa namna yake. Mwingine inawezekana anaweka labda emergency fund, mwingine labda uwekezaji wake wa muda mrefu. Did you have a name for this goal when you were saving? Kwa sababu from your story ni kwamba you already been planning for it. So talk us through what was this called in your plans? Kwa sababu mwingine hapa anawaza, so nikiacha huu uwekezaji wangu wa shares, nikiacha kuweka labda emergency fund, nikiacha labda bonds, natakiwa niwe na kagoli kingine labda nikaite mini retirement, au ni umo kwenye hizo uwekezaji wangu natakiwa ili kinikuta kama hili nitoe huko. Must I have a plan? Must I know in details? Did you have all the details to do this? Na ukaweza pia bado kubakiza uwekezaji mwingine?
Okay, so that is a very good question. And I think, as you say, Neema Grace, some things are divine, right? So 2024, January, I made a post on Instagram and I said I am going to save 84 million. And I couldn't say what that number represented, but that number represented, after I did my calculations, if I was to take a year off, because I said I started journaling about mini retirements in 2023. So I did my calculations because I track my expenses. So I had data. So to take a year off with all the things I needed to do, I knew that 88 million, 88 million would be the sweet spot for me, right? So I put that on Instagram to hold myself accountable. So I call that the Freedom Fund. That's the amount of money you need for your mini retirement when you pause to take a break from, mostly it's corporate, but some people can do it for business. If your business has systems and it can run on its own, yes. But mostly here I'm talking to employees. So that was the goal. So I had already started working on that. But for me also, what was important is that there were other two key funds I needed to have in place. That is my emergency fund and I needed it to be 12 months of expenses saved up. Why? Because I have my mother, my young brother, and my son that depend on me. So I needed to make sure if anything happens, I can sort them out no matter what. But the other one that was important to me was what I call the bare minimum retirement fund. I needed that because I wanted to retire early at 40. I needed that even if I was pausing corporate and maybe I wouldn't make money, I needed to know that that money will still compound, or if it's capital gains, that at least even if it was not 40, but see, even 42 or 41, because I just wanted to make sure that I'm on track to retire early and not at 60. Now, the thing is, the Freedom Fund didn't actually get to the amount because I worked so hard. I got to 72 million. The bare minimum retirement fund also wasn't up to par the amount I wanted, but I was just like, we need to move. The emergency fund was okay. That was sorted. It has always been sorted. And I speak about these funds a lot in the mini retirement planning masterclass, whereby we go into details on how you can build your emergency fund, your bare minimum retirement fund, what is it based off, and then also your freedom fund, because your freedom fund will come from how long you want to take the mini retirement for, what are your basic expenses, and then we also need to understand what are the activities, projects, and things you want to do in that period of time, and what's the costing on that, so that you can form your freedom fund. So first you need the mini retirement budget that will fit into your freedom fund amount. So these are things that go into detail, and if anybody can attest, the mini retirement planning masterclass has a lot of resources for somebody, even if they don't know how to go about planning the mini retirement. We have a lot of tools, workbooks that can help you get to the idea of what you really want to do. So you need 3 funds: emergency fund, your bare minimum retirement fund, and your freedom fund. It took me a year to work on the freedom fund, but obviously with the bare minimum retirement fund, that has been something I've been working for from 2014, but seriously in 2020. So again, it's all a plan. Usiache kazi bila kazi, na pia ukiacha kazi bila kazi, basi kuwa na mpango.
Hapo usiache kazi bila kazi, na ukiacha kazi usiwe na mpango. Hakikisha una mpango. Just a quick one. Easy tools. If one purchases the mini retirement masterclass, anazipata pia?
Yes, anazipata. I believe we have about 7 workbooks. Yeah, so anazipata zote. I know maybe we'll discuss them later, but there's something called the Dream Visualization Journal template.
Okay.
Yeah, you will have also your weekly plan, because basically, and maybe just let's go back to somebody who is thinking of mini retirement, and maybe they have no idea what to do about it, kwa sababu kuna watu wengine ameisikia, it's a good concept, right? And they want to be able to taste a bit of time freedom, how it is. So one tool we have is called the Dream Day Visualization. So this basically answers the question, why do you want a mini retirement? So you're going to journal about how you visualize your dream day. If you didn't have to go to work, how would that day look like? So that's how you journal about it, how you reflect on it, will fit into why you need that mini retirement. So we've sorted the question of why. And then we have the dream to-do list. So this one will now define how long and what, because you're going to list down all the things that you want to do when you're on that mini retirement. So that's one of the tools that we have. And that's one of the things that really helped me in 2023. I used to list down everything that I needed to do. Even when I moved from where I used to stay before and moved to where I am right now, that was in that plan. So you need to have a dream to-do list, because this one now determines what you're going to do and for how long. And then you're going to have a dream weekly plan. How does your week look like? It will define how you spend your time, right? Because it's important. We don't want you to go into a mini retirement and you're just upo tu, inabidi ukae ufanye vitu ambavyo vitakupa wewe amani, yani au vitu ambavyo kwa sababu tayari una dream to do list, una visualization, you have a goal, so we need that you stay within that goal that you had. And then we have the budget draft. Now the budget comes in to tell you now how much it will actually cost you to have this dream day, dream week of yours. And then we don't end there. You need to fill in the 90 days mini retirement plan. For the next 90 days, what are you doing so that you can get to your mini retirement? And then once you fill it every 90 days, you need to update it. Why? Because we need for you to work every 90 days. We have to have an activity that we're doing that is getting us to the goal of mini retirement. It can be even filling in your dream day visualization template, journal template. It can be making the list. So you just have to write for 90 days, what are you going to do that brings you closer to your mini retirement goal? In short, what I'm trying to say, Neema Grace, is just get the masterclass. It's 4 hours and a lot of workbooks that you can use. Not only for mini retirement, some of you can even use them for your other goals. Like you want to travel, you can start visualizing how do you want to travel, where do you want to go to, what do you want to do, so that to-do list, create it. And then the weekly plan, maybe you're going there for a week, what are you going to do there? And then you draft your budget. So it's the same thing. And then for the next 90 days, what are you going to do so that you can travel to where you want to travel to in the style that you want to travel? Neema Grace?
Okay. Unajua najaribu kufikiria kwa namna ambavyo unafikiria, and I love what you're saying, Neema. Okay, when you were talking about the different kind of funds you were saving, you talked about the bare minimum. Hii bare minimum ni ile the must have ama ni ipi?
So I believe all of us in the community, and that's why we have the Rich Auntie community, and anybody who's listening to this podcast, they have a certain financial goal. And I hope among those financial goals, there is retiring early. Yani kwamba unataka kustaafu mapema, work iwe optional. Tuseme kwamba unaenda kukaa nyumbani kama potato, hapana. Yani unaenda kufanya kazi either out of passion, na unafanya kazi pale unapotaka kufanya hiyo kazi, sio lazima kufanya kazi ili we uishi. Ndio tunachongelea. Sasa mimi nilikuwa nataka kustaafu nikifikisha miaka 40, right? Lakini ninataka kuretire, kufanya hii mini retirement ambayo ni temporary pause, ambayo pia inaweza ika-affect your source of income, correct? That is the thinking we're having, kwamba unaacha kazi, it is affecting your source of income. So kuna ile retirement fund yako unaifanyaga kazi na umesha calculate your financial independence number. So what we're saying is, what's the bare minimum amount? Na hii ni wewe unajiwekea target, sio mimi. Mimi nilikuwa na ya kwangu ambayo nilikuwa sijafikia, but after taking the leap and living corporate, it doubled in a few months. So nikasurpass hata ile amount. So wewe unahitaji shilingi ngapi iwe kwenye hii retirement fund yako? Tuseme labda hata uwe ni traditional retirement, you need to also have your own retirement fund. Ili if you're taking time off, iwe miezi 3, miezi 6, miezi 12 au hata miezi 24, uwekezaji uendelee kucompound au uendelee kugain kiasi kwamba pale utapo resume kuendelea kuinvest, you're still on track to retire on the timeline that you want. You're still on track to have the amount of money that you needed to have at 40. Sijui nimeeleweka, Neema Grace?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Nimeeleweka.
Yes,
now
okay.
for the people who have attended the fire masterclass, kuna kitu tunaongeleaga kinaitwa cost fire. So cost fire ni pale ambapo Neema Grace umesema I am taking traditional retirement. Na unajua kabisa ikifika 60 nahitaji niwe labda na 2.5 billion in my portfolio ili ni retire comfortably. Lakini then we work backwards. Tuseme you want to make sure kwamba maybe by 40 huo ushamaliza kuweka ile hela inayohitajika, ambayo ikicompound for the next 20 years inakuwa 2.5 billion. So wewe unaweza ukajisacrifice maybe for the next 5 to 10 years, unaeka hela tu kwenye hii retirement fund yako, alafu pale inapofika 40 au even earlier, unapofikisha tuseme labda for you to have 2.5 billion in 20 years, maybe you need to have already put in, let's say 900 million. It's just a guess, guys. I'm not using any numbers, but there are calculations that you can do. So 900 million. So Neema, utafanya kazi ya kuhakikisha mpaka unafika 40 una 900 million imekaa, then after that unaacha kucontribute to that fund. Hela yako yote unayotengeneza utakula, or you can even decide to quit your job and take something that is less stressful just to earn money that inaendesha tu maisha yako, kwa sababu ile 900 million itabaki ina compound for 20 years, and then at 60 you'll have your 2.5 billion, and then you can retire. So that's how I'm treating the bare minimum retirement fund when we're speaking of mini retirement. Ni kama vile nina pause mwaka mzima, lakini najua by the end of huu mwaka ambao nataka kupause, labda nilikuwa natakiwa nimefika milestone ya milioni 800 na sasa hivi niko milioni labda 700. Kwa hiyo kuna milioni 100 hapa ya kujazilizia kabla sijaamua kwenda mini retirement. Alafu hapo kumbuka, you also working on your freedom fund. Ndio maana nasema ni mchakato whereby that's why we did a whole masterclass ili kuainisha step by step how somebody can go through it. And the beautiful thing is that I have done it, and there are some mistakes I made which we'll also discuss in the class, and that's why it's a masterclass from experience, not just theory.
Thank you, Neema. Yeah, nafikiri when you keep talking about it, inafanya tunaanza kufikiria, okay, but maybe it's not as easy as we thought. Okay, let's go back to the mini pause. Now that you've talked to us through around the plan, baada ya kuanza tu mini retirement, au baada ile the first day, did you have a plan on what you're going to do with your life? Or were you just hoping to just sit at home like a potato?
So yes and no. Yes, in the sense that, as I said, kuanzia 2023 nilikuwa na journal, right, kuhusu mini retirement, and nilikuwa na list of activities that I want to do. Okay, like the traveling that I do now is something tangia 2023 nilikuwa naandika chini the places I want to go to, the things I want to do. Kuna vitu niliandika I needed to have by the time sijui naenda mini retirement. Kuna vitu nilisema lazima nisome nikija kwenye mini retirement, and as you can see, Neema, nimekuwa busy na kusoma. So in that aspect, yes, lakini no in the aspect kwamba kama nilivyosema, watu wanaosoma the mini retirement masterclass, they are fortunate to have a weekly plan, whereby in that weekly plan, Neema Grace, sio kwamba tu ni weekly plan kwamba unaandika tu nataka kufanya vitu hivi, no, it's detailed kwamba kuna vitu you're doing for rest and kuna activities you're doing for rest, kwa sababu one thing nimenotice kuhusu watu ambao ni high performing employees, resting is a problem. And then kuna vitu unafanya for contribution, like to the society. What are the things that you're doing to give back now that you have all this freedom, right? And then kuna vitu you're doing for exploration. You're traveling, your new hobbies that you're going to practice, hivyo vitu vya hivyo. Alafu kuna vitu sasa unafanya for income experimental projects, vitu ambavyo you're trying different things to see if they can make you money. Okay, maybe it's a time you decide I'm going to build a personal brand, or it's a time you decide I'm going to start a baking business. So every week what we need you to do on that weekly plan of yours is to say, these are activities nafanya for rest, these are activities nafanya explore, these activities nafanya kwa ajili ya contribute back to society, and these activities I'm doing to experiment if I can make money. So your week is balanced that way. So it's important. And rest can look like things like going for a walk. Rest can look like things like knitting if you love to crochet, coloring books, because you're resting. Hatumaanishi kwamba ulale tu, because that was my idea of rest. And I struggled to sleep the first day that I realized I didn't have to go to work. Niliamka muda wa kazi, nikaoga, nikavaa, nikagundua kwamba sitaki kwenda kazini. So there was that. So that's why we need that weekly plan very defined.
Okay. Neema, katika now that you've talked about it, nafikiria kwamba you had a plan You were clear about what you wanted. Is it happening? Like, it's been a year. Is it? Has it happened? Were there days you regretted? Were there days you felt afraid? Were there days where you had no idea what you were doing? Or something that I've also noted, you come out in this community, I have also noted the same. You do posts same time every day. And I highly, highly respect that. Lakini nawaza, now that you are working for no one can actually claim you. How is your day like? And where do you get the discipline? And I know I'm asking lots of questions the same sentence, but I also wonder if you're afraid sometimes. Are you ever worried? Do you sometimes regret? Do you sometimes worry that, hey, what was I thinking? Because we understand, unakuta hapa kati yetu wengi ambao pengine labda tuna kipato, tunafanya biashara ama tunafanya nini, there are times that pamoja na kipato chako na kila kitu kuna mambo kuna muda ya connect. Kila ukifikiria unaona hapa stop boy. How are you feeling about all this? Were there times you worry? Are there times you regret? And where do you get the discipline, really?
Okay. Oh, that's a very heavy question, but let's simplify it. So there's a one on time management, because that's the discipline we're talking about, and then one on worry and regrets, right? So I'll start with time management. Unfortunately, being the high functioning individual I am, and Neema Grace, you can attest to that, time management is not a problem for me. The only thing that I am so grateful for right now is I am managing my time to do things that I want, things that I'm passionate about, things that fill me. I don't know, maybe to some people it may look like a lot of work, because today is, and Neema Grace knows that today is usually content, not creating, but content posting and scheduling day, because you ask me every day at 6 a.m. there's a post on, I believe, TikTok and Instagram on two of the accounts that I manage. So Sunday is when all that magic happens. And Monday is where the magic for the podcast also happens. So as you can see, that's how I've defined my days. So I know that Sunday, you may not find me on the phone. And even if you get me on the phone, it's because maybe I'm scheduling content. Is a day I'll wake up and I know that I am doing content posting and scheduling. And then Monday is when I will deal with everything for the podcast. If it's editing, creating those beautiful posts that you guys see, that's how I've scheduled it out. And then, of course, you then have your brand deals, whereby now you know with your contracts when your deliverables are needed, so you make sure. Neema Grace kuna siku anaweza kanitafuta nikamwambia kabisa, Neema, today is video recording day, so I may not respond to you, or she might call, I might even decline, because I'm in the process of recording the video. So I batch my content I look at the needs that I have. And there's a day for creativity. You sit down and you think of ideas so that you're not reactive. I work so hard not to be reactive. And maybe that's why I don't really follow trends. If you've noticed, I don't just being viral. It's like I think of an idea, I put it on paper, and then I think on how best to do it. Then sometimes I might feed it to ChatGPT or Cloud AI to help me out, just put the idea together well. Yeah, and there you have something that you schedule. So that's how it is for me. I'm not reactive. Time management has never been a problem for me. And one thing I appreciate is that the people around me understand that work for me is important. It's important in the sense that we had a trip planned for next week. And I told my friends, no, ABCD has come in between. And you know what my friends answered? Anyways, work is work. So you also need that, because they understand that. So for me, that's not a problem. My biggest issue with time management is that I do not know how to rest. We'll talk about that later. Now, when we come to regrets.
Na comments hapo kwenye pakurest.
I know everybody has a comment. Anybody who is close to me, very close to me, that is the comment they have. I know, Neema, you have a comment, but we shall get to your comment. When it comes to regrets, I think the only regret I have is not doing it sooner. Because I didn't die, guys. Did I die? I didn't die. And here we're going for our second year. So I wish I did it earlier. So if you're somewhere there questioning yourself, umesikia Neema anasema mimi retirement this, you dream to do list this, unaona kama vile it's complicated. It's not. If it's in your heart, go for it, because one day you'll be seated here like me and saying, I wish I did this earlier. Just get somebody, if you need to be guided, get the right guidance. But for me, I wish I did it earlier. And when I say earlier, at least even December 2023, meaning by January 2024, I would be out of a job and I would be, now this would have been like our third year, right, Neema? So that's my only regret.
Yeah.
Now, on the question of worry. So on the question of worry, I don't know if you guys growing up, kama mliimba ule wimbo, why worry when you can pray? I promise the rich aunties I'll sing for them today, because somebody said you actually can sing. So there's that. And then there's Jaira, that song. So for me, it's always like worry doesn't solve anything. Okay. You sit and worry, and then sometimes things are out of your control. So what I usually do, I ask myself, is there something I can do about this? No. Is it something that I should just let it be and see how it transforms and where it leads me? Yes, because worry, can we say worry is like a different form of fear? Before you get to fear, that's where you start worrying. So for me, it's that I remember that those two songs. And then there's the other one, cast your burdens unto Jesus. So I'm a believer. So mimi nitaenda, nitapiga magoti, nitasali, I'll tell God, I'll tell the Holy Spirit, this is the thing that I am worried about. And then I will go on to work on what I can work on, because worry doesn't fix anything. It's just a waste of time, guys. That's what I'm learning. And then another thing, if you notice, Neema, kuna kitu uko na worry about a year ago. Today, it means nothing. Like, you even wonder why you were worried about that. Or do you want me to give a very harsh example? You remember when you had that one relationship that you thought it was everything to you like 2 years ago, and you were so into this guy or girl, and then today they don't even matter. You see them and you wonder, what did you ever see? But at some point you were worried they were going to leave you, and they left you and you didn't die. So there's no point of you worrying throughout that thing. So whatever you worried about miezi sita, mwaka, never mattered. So it's just a waste of time. If you're a believer, pray. I don't know what you believe in, but pray. Then after that, move. Control what you can control.
Wow. Nimefikiria when you told me to think about something that we were worried about just last year, it reminded me of something, and then nimefikiria jinsi ambavyo like it's not even in our part of our discussions. Unakumbuka the Airbnb thingy? Nimefikiria too how that was stressful. It makes sense when you're saying most of the things that we worry about, they will actually be okay. So sasa nafikiria Neema.
Yes.
Sisi ambao tuko kizazi hiki, kwa eji yako, una ndugu, una wazazi, una marafiki, na mara nyingi vitu tunavyopitia au ambao tunavifanya are not necessarily the things that our families or our brothers and sisters actually know about. Did you lose any friends in this process? Was it hard to communicate about your mini retirement to your family? Ama ulionekana umechanganyikiwa? Kwa sababu like kumwambia mzazi au ndugu wa karibu au marafiki kwamba nimeacha kazi na nimeacha kazi kwa sababu nataka kupumzika. Au what were the exact words you said to your mom? Now, if you can, please give us an honest answer, kwa sababu I'm trying to think if I tell my mom today I'm resting, or do we just not say it like that? Because nahisi tunaweza tukaenda kuvuruga habari huko.
So, I think kama binadamu tunaelewa watu waliotuzunguka, right? Tunaelewa ni nature ya watu wa aina gani. And I think for me, I thought nilikuwa naelewa nature ya mamangu ni mtu wa aina gani, but if you ask me now, I think I misjudged her. So it took me kama miezi sita kumwambia mama kwamba nimeacha kazi, na sio kwamba nilimwambia, alipiga simu akawa anauliza maswali mengi sana kuhusu kwa Marekani is where I used to work. And then at some point I just got tired because I was lying, afu najichanganya umo, yani kwenye hiyo call moja nishajichanganya mara 200. So nikamwambia mama, bwana mimi nishaachaga kazi. Akamwambia ninajua. And she didn't get mad. I think for me, I underestimated kwamba mama ni hustler. Yani amekuwa ni mtu wa kitaa maisha yake yote. And I think also she has the belief kwamba she raised a fighter. Kwa hiyo she never even worries. Tena siku hizi she extends a lot of grace actually. Anaweza hata kaa anataka kitu hapa akakwambia, lakini utakuwa na mambo yako unafanya huko bize, basi subiri nitaangalia labda kama fulani anaweza kunisaidia. So she's been extending a lot of grace that I didn't think she would. And that's the other thing. I think sometimes we judge our closest people in a way that is not right. So for me, that has been experienced with my mom. And if you all know, ni mtu sasa hivi ambaye anakaa kwenye my social media, ananikumbusha kama nina event ya kwenda, atanipigia simu hiyo asubuhi aniulize umewahi, umeshatoka nyumbani, unaenda kufanya nini hivyo. But yes, I did lose friends in the process of the mini retirements, because again, you need to understand, some people bonded with you over being employees and suffering in employment, right? I'm not saying I was suffering. Okay, I'm trying to find being politically correct, but you know what goes on in employment. I don't need to define it. So there was this thing that connected you. You had this one language you spoke, but now you're saying I no longer understand this language, I want to do something else. Lazima kuna watu watakuona kama vile unazingua afu unaenda kupotea. Unajua kuna hiyo pia because, and it's not kwamba wanakuchukia, they mean well kabisa, lakini wanaona kwa sababu tumeaminishwa tusome, tukishasoma to apply tupate kazi, and then tukishapata kazi tupambanie, yani sasa kazi mpaka tufika miaka 60 sasa ndo tuache. Afu unakuja wewe unaanza kusema, kwanza umeanza na stories za nataka kuretire mapema, afu uvumaliza hapo ukasema guys, mimi sisubiri mapema, naacha kazi ni rest for a year. Of course it's too much for your friends and people around you to take. So kama mtu akiwa na notion ambayo sio, it's okay also. And this is why we have that mini retirement community. After the masterclass you join a group whereby we speak to each other in that community, because sisi wenyewe ndo tunaelewana, sisi wenyewe ndo tunaelewa tunachopitia, and it's good, inakupa nguvu. I believe mpaka sasa hivi we've had if not 2-3 stories za watu ambao tayari wameshaacha kazi na wako kitaa, and they share kwenye ile community what they're going through. People come with questions and all that, and we help each other kutoka sehemu moja kwenda nyingine. Other than that, ukisema uendelee kung'ang'ania umfanye Neema Grace akuelewe, wakati Neema Grace yeye ameshakuzoea, tunatakiwa tufanye hivi, utachelewa sana. So it's to be expected that some people will not support you, but also it's expected that some people utamisjudge, utadhani watalipokea kwa ubaya, kumbe watalipokea tu vizuri, and they may become your cheerleaders kama my mother right now. So I hope we also, sisi kama sisi tunaosikiliza hii podcast, if tukikutana na mtu ana lengo kama hili, we extend grace and we let them process that. Okay, waache wafanye, wakishafanya hata kama vikibuma, wape moyo waendelee kupambana, kwa sababu them doing, hata kama wasipopata ule muda off au kile wanachokifanyia kazi, they will be in a better position than them not doing. So let's try to support new ideas hata kama tuzielewi, na kuacha watu waweze kufanya vitu in their own way.
Okay, thank you for sharing that, Neema. I'm just wondering, do you rest more now after the mini retirement?
I knew. Okay, you're not going to ask this question because I said that I struggle with rest.
Well, I'm thinking kwa sababu mi nikisikia mtu ameacha kwenda kazini, and I'm sure so many people are thinking like me. Nafikiria kutokuamka asubuhi, nafikiria mvua, nafikiria foleni, nafikiria how Mondays feel. Right now I'm already dreading tomorrow, well, for wrong and right reasons. Nafikiria wewe, so kwako Monday ni kuamka tu na kuchill. Like I'm imagining your day. I know you, but I'm imagining listening to this. Naanza tu unaamka, una chill, unaangalia zako TV, unapata utulivu, labda unasikiza sermons au una Is it slow mornings? Yani na imagine mpaka nikifikiria napata goosebumps kama ndo hivyo ninachokifikiria kweli.
Okay, kitu ambacho watu wanabidi waelewe, Neema Grace anapenda slow mornings, by the way. And yes, slow mornings are a thing. Kwangu mimi it's important. I wake up, go for my walk. On the days that I go for my walk, these days nimeintroduce kitu kipya. I work out at home. You should see me. It's like I'm almost dying, but I'll get there with time because I'm now going back to strength training. And then I have my coffee and my sermons, as Neema Grace says. But intentional rest, because that's important. And that's the whole reason why we were taking the mini retirement. It's something nimestruggle nacho. And it's a conversation also I have a lot with, because I look at people who also are high functioning like myself, and who nauliza tips and tricks. But one thing I will tell you, the advantage that I have, Neema Grace, is nikichoka nina option ya kusema nimechoka na nika pause na nika rest, as opposed if I had a job nikichoka inabidi niendelee kufanya. And then kuchoka ya sasa hivi Neema Grace sio kuchoka ya kwamba ni kazi lazima nifanye, ni deadline lazima ni meet. Kuchoka ya sasa hivi ni unachoka from you were, tuseme hata hapa we're having this lovely conversation about financial freedom. Maybe I've been having a very crazy day, but after this session, to have somebody's life transformed just because we did this conversation, and ule uchovu ni kama vile unakuwa haupo tena. So there's that. Being tired from doing the things that you once prayed for is different from being tired from doing things that are mandatory. Sijui kama mnanielewa hapo. So, but to be truly honest, rest is still a skill I have not mastered. That I'll be honest. And I'm still learning. I'm still trying, because as much as I want to say it's just taking time off, but also how do you incorporate rest in the things that you do daily? Because I've always been functioning on a high. And I still feel like I'm still on that high, but I now know that if I'm told to go back to corporate, I would struggle a bit. But kila mtu ana jambo lake. Hilo kwangu mimi ndo jambo ambalo unapambana nalo sasa hivi, Neema Grace.
Do you think you'll ever go back to corporate?
So, according to my mentor, Edmund Munyagi, apparently we had agreed before I took this mini retirement that I was never going back to corporate. And he keeps reminding me every time we speak. So there's that. And a friend told me something the other day, and this is somebody I really respect in the corporate space. So we were having that conversation, and I was like, I'm not sure about how to answer that question. Mtu akiniuliza, will I ever go back to corporate? Akaniambia, let me answer it for you. It was like, corporate cannot afford you anymore. Corporate cannot give you the creativity space that you are operating in right now. And basically, corporate is not the fit for you at the moment. And he said, and even if I do go back to corporate, I'll be selling myself cheap. That's what he said. So basically, now I have to make the streets work because corporates cannot afford me, and corporate cannot give me what I need. And at the level that I've built my brand, I don't know, it's more of maybe working part-time with corporate. Let's say if somebody needs support. As I said, I'm a business development expert in providing logistical solutions for mining and oil and gas companies in East and Southern Africa. If there's a company that wants on part-time basis, on project by project basis, we can work on it. If there's a company that also wants, also in the finance space, for us to work on part-time basis, yes, that is something we can do. But to go back to corporate 100%, wow, it's still a question. If you ask me in my heart of hearts, I do not want to have to go back to corporate. That I'll keep it as simple as that. I do not want to have to go back to corporate. So I have to work hard to make sure that the streets work for me eventually.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Neema. So going back to how you planned everything, if we ask you today, and if you can answer this in one word, it's a yes or no question. Is everything you're experiencing in your mini retirement the same way you expected it to be? Kila kitu tunachokutana nacho leo kwenye hii safari yako ya mapumziko, maana sijui jinsi ya au kustaafu kwa muda mfupi.
Umeambia utumie Kiswahili.
Yani, katika hii safari yako, is everything that you planned exactly the same way as you planned? Kila kitu tunachotokea leo ni kama vile ulivyopanga kabisa? Naomba jibu la ndio au hapana. Hapana, okay. Kuna surprises?
Not surprises. I think ukipanga mpango wako wa kitu chochote, leave room for something different. What I thought I would be doing, I thought I would be resting, but I've been busy with work that excites me, work that makes it worthwhile doing it. And I didn't think that at some point I would ever think work excites me the way it does sasa hivi. I have met people that I never thought I would meet. I've been in rooms I never thought I would ever get into. I've formed a sisterhood even stronger than when we even started the Rich Auntie community. So I don't know how to put it. It's been more than what I had planned for, more than what I'd hoped it would be. And I am so grateful. And Neema Grace, mi nikwambie tu kitu, there's nothing beautiful than having a taste of time freedom. Hata kama ni kidunchu hivi. It makes a whole difference. And the minute you do it, hata kama ukiamua uchukue your mini retirement for just 2 months, 3 months, the minute you do it, you will never be the same again. And I can't explain it to you how it feels. Mimi nachoweza kukuambia, please try it.
Hapo unavyosema time freedom ni kwa maana ya kuwa tuna uhuru na muda wako wa kufanya nacho chochote nao chochote, si ndio? Is that what you mean there?
Yes. Yaani ule muda wako wewe ndio una detect. So unaona kama nilivyoamua kwamba Jumapili itakuwa siku ya kupost na kuschedule. I could always decide Jumapili ni siku ya kuhang labda na Neema Grace na my other friends. There's that also, right? And also, when I say time freedom, this brings me back to something that really moved me. Wakati namuuguza baba, nilikuwa naona marafiki zake walikuwa wanakuja hospitalini asubuhi, mchana, jioni. Like every time I would go to the hospital, wale watu walikuwa pale. Na nilichogundua ni kwa sababu wale walikuwa ni hustlers, right? Wana biashara zao. They can live, and when a friend has an issue, they can leave everything, their businesses, and come and attend. Nikajiuliza leo mimi, kipindi hicho bado niko kazini, tuseme rafiki yangu wa karibu sana akaugua, amelazwa, lazima niombe ruksa. Hiyo ruksa unaipatapataje kila siku? Tuseme mtu ameuguzwa miezi miwili, kila siku utakuwa unapewa ruksa kwenda hospitalini. So again, and also a thing happened last year with a friend, and I was able to be there for them through the process. Na wakuwa naumwa, walilazwa na kila kitu. The fact that I was able to be there for them, and I was not asking anybody for permission, that for me made a whole difference and made this mini retirement mean something more than what I thought it was. I was finally saying the thing that I admired about Baba's friends is something now I can extend to my friends. So ni vitu vidogo vidogo tu Neema ambavyo vinafanya time freedom it seems very nice. Sasa hivi hata Mama Chamy akiniita, it's easier for me to go without thinking kesho ni Jumatatu natakiwa niende kazini. Sijui kama unanielewa. Not to brag, but I'm just saying time freedom is sweet.
Okay, thanks, Neema. If we ask you today, as you speak, actually, this is me thinking, is mini retirement for everyone? Who do you think it is for?
It is for everyone. It is for everyone, but it needs to come with a plan. It's not you listening to this episode and then deciding I want to take one. I think even if I was if I ever even decide to go back to corporate, God forbid, for me, I would make sure every 3 to 5 years I would take a mini retirement, because everything in nature, hata land ile tunapanda, tukishapanda tunavuna, tunaacha inapumua, afu tunakuja tunapanda tena. Sasa na wewe binadamu unaanza kazi, let's say, okay, I'll say 25, ingawa siku hizi mnaanza mkiwa 8 years old, mshafungua biashara, but tuseme at 25 and you have to work all the way to 60, you're just working for how many years? That's 35 years, right? You've never paused. And yet, because again, rest is productive. And maybe because I'm operating a bit in the creative space, everybody's creative, by the way, you need rest to get your best ideas. And yet, I know now you see me doing the vulnerability post that I'm doing on social media sharing, but that came from rest. My July was just like, I got to a point, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to think about anything that I need to do or anything. When you're in rest, that's when you get your best ideas. You also become more productive. So it's for everyone. It is for everyone, that even if wewe umeamua kwamba, mi sikuambii kwamba uache kazi, sikuambii kwamba retire by 40, whatever. Unaweza ukaamua unapenda kazi yako na utaifanya mpaka 60, well and good. What we're saying, hapo katikati chukua virest vidogo vidogo, ili na wewe kama binadamu upumue, uheme. And sometimes wakati unachukua hizi mini retirement, you can even answer the question like, is this the route that I'm taking, the career path that I'm taking, is this ideal for me? Do I need to change? For instance, hilo swali mnaloniuliza, would I go back to corporate? And me, I'll throw back a question at you. Am I going back to corporate in logistics, business development, finance? Which direction am I going? Marketing, because, well, I do some of that, sales and marketing. Where am I going? Is it social media? So when you ask me, are you going back to corporate now? Because I've tried different things. I have options even of what direction to take. So there's that. We need to always pause, relax, rest a bit. It's not bad to rest. It's productive to rest. And then rudi tena. Inawezekana hata ukarudi ukaweza kunegotiate better salaries, kunegotiate better positions, kunegotiate or even pivot into a whole new career that you never knew you could do because you took time off. So it's for everyone.
Okay. Nawaza Neema, before you started, ulikuwa na hofu yoyote ambayo ulikuwa nayo kubwa zaidi before ujaanza hii safari? Anything?
Yeah.
Na ukaona
Yes.
tofauti yake sasa hivi?
Yes. And I shared that. My biggest worry was running out of savings, Neema Grace. As much as I had crossed my T's and everything, but still, I thought, what if I run out of savings? And this is my worst case scenario that I was thinking of. Emergencies happen. And being somebody ambaye nimeuguza mzazi kwa muda mrefu, it takes a toll on your finances also. Whether kuna health insurance, kwa sababu sisi tuli max out health insurance na baba alikuwa na plan B, tuka max out that, and then at some point we had to dip into our pockets. So inawezekana ikatokea emergency ambayo mkamaliza emergency fund, mkamaliza ile freedom fund, mkaingia kwenye retirement fund, right? So that was my biggest worry. But again, the reason why we are also putting all these funds in place is because hata hivi vitu vikitokea, wakati vinatokea, at least you have a solution to it, yeah, right? You can say you're abandoning doing a mini retirement because, oh, what if I run out of savings? What if you don't? And for my case, it was different because as much as I was like, okay, I have savings a year, I can do a year and I'll be fine. Then after that, maybe 6 months in, I start looking for a job. But I knew I needed more time. But shocking thing is, somehow building a strong personal brand helps a lot. So work ikaja, deals zikaja, training zikaja. I think fear is okay to have it because fear is an indication you're moving to something new. But giving fear the front seat and letting it drive is not the right thing. Wewe mwambie aende nyuma, afu sisi tufanye kile tunachofanya. The beauty about doing things despite fear is that hata kama ukifeli Neema Grace, yaani wewe ufeli zero, okay, hata kama tuseme zile funds zote zikarudi to zero, but the experience, what you learn through the process, it could be the same thing that you could even build a brand on, even make more money from, or it could answer the question of what's your calling in this life, because that's the one thing most of us are looking for, right? So tusiogope, usiwe mwoga. Mimi nilikuwa mwoga, and maybe that's why I dragged even my exit date until I had somebody shout at me and I had to break down at the office and quit. You shouldn't wait for it to get there. Eka timeline yako, tembea na timeline yako. Mimi nachoamini, I believe in God. God provides. As long as what you're doing is according to his will, for his glory, and it's serving his purpose, he provides. So those are the questions I ask myself every time I'm about to do something. Is this according to God's will? Is this according to the calling that he's placed on me? Is this for his purpose? And is this for his glory? If it's yes to all four, we are going. We're moving. So I don't know what other people use as a filter, but kama alivyosema, I have a friend anaitwa Sabah. She's Zanzibarian. Anasema ukiacha kazi unamjua Mungu kuliko ambavyo umewahi kumjua katika maisha yako. And that's the reality, guys. You learn to base everything that you do on God, and God rewards you by being the provider that he is. So for me, that was the one thing that was very different, that it got to a point that I was basically not touching my savings. Maybe I put it that way. I was basically not touching my savings. I was making money that I could pay my bills comfortably and be okay. And at some point, even invest a bit, some months. But the goal is to always survive first.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Mfano ungepata nafasi ya kurudia tena hii safari ya uwekezaji samani ya mini retirement, kuna vitu gani ungebadilisha? Labda pengine, labda sipendi kuita makosa, lakini kuna vitu gani ungefanya tofauti?
I think I wouldn't over prepare. And I noticed I'm an over preparer because I was at a podcast where I was being interviewed, and at the end, this lady asked me, so what are you looking forward to do? And I was like, I really don't know. I'm just waiting for instructions and then I'll move. And then she was shocked because this is somebody who knows me from my previously, before I even started the Financial Freedom Gospel. And she goes like, but you're such a person who loves to prepare and you're so detailed. So it's shocking. So now it became a whole topic. It's shocking that you don't know what's your next step. And for the first time in my life, yes, I didn't know what was my next step. So I think hiyo pia inasaidia sana. And maybe to go back to a concept or a book written by a good friend anaitwa Charles Nduku, if I perish mindset. I think that's the one thing I have learned a lot once I left corporate, that you do things and you tell yourself, I am going to do this. If I perish. So you become bold enough to push. So I wish, I know Neema labda kuwa nategemea nitakwambia ninge plan better. No, I wish ningekuwa bold enough to jump without over preparing. And ile if I perish mindset ningekuwa nayo sana ili niweze, kwa sababu I feel like I would have done more. Yani nimesubiria mpaka nimekuwa burnt out, the tank is running low. Now that you're out of corporate, you have to fill in first the tank, then start doing the Lord's work. So you get me, the lag. So I wish I didn't over prepare. I wish I just went, if I perish, shwa.
I say, I think this is a very good learning, Neema. Na as you speak about it, nanifanya nafikiria zaidi. Nimekuuliza mara ya kwanza, unafikiri mini retirement ni ya nani? Kasema ni ya mtu yoyote na mtu yoyote anaweza akaamua. Lakini being lots of people in this room, unaweza ukatupa mfano ya aina watu ambao unatamani kuambia it's okay to take a mini retirement if you want one? Kwa sababu hapa tuliopo wengi tunafikiria tu labda I need a motivation au nina bosi wa kunikera. What about those people who think mini retirement it's only a mini retirement until when something happens at your workplace?
Okay.
Can you tell us more? Who who should take a
Who
mini
is it for?
retirement? Can
Yeah.
it be a woman who just wants to take care of their family? Can it be just a man or a woman who just wants to get
Yeah.
rest? Can it be just anyone who wants to stop and start living? Can it just be a lazy person too? Kwa sababu nimeimagine mambo mengi. Who is it for?
So hapo Neema Grace umekuwa ukijijibu. So first let's start. Kuna yule mtu ambaye sasa hivi ana kazi and tomorrow is Monday, they're dreading it. They hate when the alarm goes off, but somehow they can't leave that job because they have bills and responsibilities. Na kuna mwingine sio kwamba ana bills and responsibilities, comfort zone. Kwa hiyo ana hesitation. So that's the first person we're going to mention. And then inawezekana kuna wewe ambaye maybe you're about to have a child, maybe your first child, your second child, and you're thinking, I want to be a present mother, because that for me also is a goal for me in this life. I wouldn't say an absent mother, but I wasn't as present as I would have loved to for Heartbeat. By the way, it turns 12 this month, so I'm so excited. So you could plan. Okay, maybe you're not yet pregnant, maybe you're planning to get pregnant, or you're pregnant, you could plan to take time off to deal with child nurturing. And then maybe you're somebody who is like, your job is perfect, you're okay with it, but every time you sit, you just feel something is missing. You feel like you're called for more. You feel like this is not it. Okay, you've grown comfortable in the role. You don't see if you can grow anymore and all that. And then it may be you're somebody who has a side hustle, a passion you're chasing, but you've not tested if it can monetize. And for you to really do that, you need to really maybe take time off to really give it, to see, okay, if this passion project can really give me a living so that I do not have to do a corporate job. So those are 4 ideal people. I've said it's for everybody, but these are 4 ideal people. So all these people, all they need is a plan, Neema Grace. And the plan is something we've discussed extensively in the mini retirement masterclass. All the ABCDs are there, from how to visualize it, what activities, how long, how much, your weekly plan, and everything else, your funds that you need in place, all that is stipulated in that masterclass. Once you do that masterclass, and the ones who have attended it will attest to it, you finally realize it's not as difficult as you thought it was. So I would say this 4, but to add the 5th one, anybody who is like, you know what, for the people who jump from one job to another, why don't you take breaks in between? Let's say today you work for company X. After 2 years, you do plan to resign and go to company Y. Before you go to Y, why not take a mini retirement for 3 months just to before the next job, and then go to the next job and keep doing that. That way you go into a new job fresh. You're not carrying whatever you got from this side. I'm not saying it's always trauma, but there's a bit of that into the new job, but you're going there fresh and ready to work on the job. So anybody can do it. Anybody can do it at any financial level. I know there's somebody listening that's saying, but Neema, you're already, no, at any financial level. I think what we need to stress, Neema Grace, ni priorities. Wewe priority yako ni nini? Inawezekana sasa hivi una mental health issues kwa sababu ya kazi. So your priority should be a mini retirement. Your priority shouldn't be retiring early. Your priority should be natakiwa ni pause sasa hivi ili niweze could set my mind straight. Then when your mind is set straight, that's when you can see the income opportunities, you can see the investments that you need to do, you can see how you can propel yourself faster into early retirement. But operating from a place, because I have operated from that place, and Neema Grace, Neema Grace was experienced part of it, doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help you, it doesn't help the people around you, it doesn't also help the calling on your life. So priorities.
Okay. And thank you. Thank you, Neema, for sharing all that. So malizia this sentence and maybe I don't know how you say it, but finish the following sentence. Kupress pause kwenye kazi kulinifundisha kwamba
Money comes when you're aligned.
kwa Kiswahili
kuna ile
hela inakuja ukijiconnect au
kuna mtu alisema hela itafuti inategwa. It's true.
Okay. So what I'm learning
yani
from you,
unapokuwa kualign kufanya nini? Kiswahili. Unapokuwa upo ni sambamba na lile kusudi lako la maisha.
Rudi kwenye Kiingereza bwana wewe.
When you're aligned to your purpose in life, money flows easily. Mimi nimepitia phase ya work hard for money. If you ask anybody, even my employer, watakwambia I was a hard working employee. Now what I'm experiencing sasa hivi when I'm taking the mini retirement or niko kitaa is that it is not hard work. Umealign vipi? Okay, Neema, what are you doing with your life? Okay, I am talking to God's people about financial freedom ili waweze kuwa huru, na wakiwa huru waweze kutumikia kile ambacho Mungu amewaita kufanya. And then those people that God wants you to talk to watakuwa aligned na wewe. It's either a rich auntie joining the community, it's either a brand that needs you to go and train their people, or a brand that needs you to push a product that's helping the lives of people. You get, so how aligned are you is how money will flow.
Sawa. Hello. Sasa nimewaza Neema. And we're getting to the end of this, but this question was just came up na nimeisoma tena kwa mara ya pili, and it also shocked me. Some of us do not know who we are without what we're doing, kwa maana ya kwamba if you ask me today, alafu nasema hii kwa huzuni kidogo, I would just say, so who are you? What do you do? I will definitely go talk about my work. So this is how I would introduce myself. My name is Neema Kalola. I work for Site Servers. I lead and support in policy influencing and disability inclusion, and I'm a project management expert. So nimetulia hapa nikifikiria your introduction. It's all work. It's all what I do every day. I don't think I know how to say that without my work. It menipa chills kidogo. How do you introduce yourself, Neema, right now?
I had a joke on my status. I said, the reason I don't date is because when they ask me what do I do for a living, I just stare. I don't think it's more about how do I introduce myself. I think I struggled with detaching myself from the identity, because kumbuka, 9 years is a long time, Neema? You've always introduced yourself. I'm a business development expert, providing logistical solutions for oil and gas and mining clients in East and Southern Africa. You see how
oh
it
my
sounds?
Goodness. It sounds so cool.
And now you're
East Central Southern Africa.
So you struggle. I know, but job titles don't make us. That's one thing I've learned. It's the value that we provide. I have noticed that these days I do not even have to introduce myself, Neema Grace. There are times I know I have a principle that yes, I meet people, I have to say I'm Neema Chamy, and somebody will be like, why would you think I don't know you? So I have done work building value that now I walk into rooms, I don't have to introduce myself, and which can be a plus and a negative, because sometimes when I just want to go out and have fun, I have to remember I'm a public figure. So there's that also. So we put it aside. But in the spaces that I move, my personal brand carries me a lot. Okay. And also, again, I'm at a point whereby even with everything that I've done, I still struggle to introduce myself because it's not one thing. Do I say I'm an influencer? Do I say I'm a content creator? Do I say I'm a certified financial educator? Do I say I'm a community builder? So most times when I'm asked what do, I say I'm a bridge. I'm a bridge. I help people move from one end to another to something better. I connect people. Neema Grace wants to learn about the stock market. Abbas knows about the stock market. I have created a platform where Neema Grace and Abbas can exchange that, and maybe Abbas will get paid for it. Neema Grace will get the knowledge. You get me? I've also learned that even with the networks that I build, it's more because I build as a bridge. For instance, I'll use Good Hope as a good example. Good Hope is forever grateful, and Good Hope akiwa ananiintroduce kwa watu Neema Grace, yani utarudi ujiulize ni huyu Neema Chamy na mjo, it's somebody else, but because for him he had a very good product visibility, right? The visibility challenge, 90 days. He didn't have the platform. He didn't have the audience. I had the audience that needed the 90 days visibility challenge. So I connected the two, right? So that's why I say I'm a bridge. So all these other titles are okay. And I think that's why I have so many titles. It's because if you're acting like a bridge, you have to wear different hats na inabidi ufit kila sehemu. So he's forever grateful because with him, avokuwa amejiwekea projections zake angelaunch ile product, ingemchukua at least a year to get to the numbers that he did with the rich aunties. And that is not numbers kwamba hela, no, attendance, if you get me. And then after that, also his network has grown, and most times he walks in rooms and people are like, oh, we know you from the 90 days visibility challenge you did with the rich aunties. So what happened there? The rich auntie was the platform that helped Good Hope to get where he needed to go. So again, a bridge. So I struggle, but if you build a strong enough brand based on value, not going viral, you get introduced into rooms. You don't have to introduce yourself. But detaching from that fancy corporate job title is so hard, guys. It is so hard. Let me repeat, it is so hard because there are times, the places you go to, like these chambers of commerce, and they'll always know, oh, it's Neema from certain company and she's here for this, and people will be attentive to you. Now you don't go into those rooms anymore. You're going into new rooms where you have to constantly introduce yourself. So it's been quite a journey, Neema Grace.
Sawa. Nashukuru pia for this because it's very powerful. Inatufundisha wengi wetu na nimejifunza vitu vipya pia leo kwamba mini retirement doesn't necessarily not mean not having to work, but more of control of your own time, control of how you work, control of when you work and what you work on. And I think I'm very inspired to do it too myself. And just to give you an opportunity also, I know this mini retirement class happened, was it last month or the month before that? If I want to do this class again, now that I've actually listened to this podcast, do you plan to do these sessions more often, like the way you were doing the Rich Aunties masterclass? I'm just wondering if I just want to get on it again, how do I get to it?
Okay. So we had this class, I would say if it's not, it was end of April. And it's a class that I put a lot of work into, so much research, so much. You can ask the guys who got onto the class. So right now we have the recorded version that people can get access to. They just need to drop a DM on any of our socials, either Rich Auntie Chats or Neema_Chamy Instagram will be ideal, and they'll get the details on how to get access to it. Yes, we do plan to do like an update to it, but that again will also be shared on socials. But the reason why I would recommend this class to anybody is because I feel it answered the way I approached creating the class was what questions did I need to be answered before I took the mini retirement? And then worked backwards on the mistakes that I've done, the things I got right, and incorporated in the class. So it's not a class based on theory, it's a class based on real experience and things that actually work. And I am happy for these guys because they have a lot of tools. They even have tools that ask them, what activities do you want to do? Like, what projects are you passionate about? Which countries do you want to travel to? What are your daily activities that you're going to do? And you list all that, and then you create a whole plan for yourself. So it's a very detailed class that, well, one, it's because you're being taught by somebody who has done it, and two, because we need it. We need a different way of thinking. We can't just be doing life the same way, not in this era, in the 21st century. We need to test ideas, and that's what I do. Retire early, okay, I'm testing that. Mini retirement, I am testing that to see how it goes, and I am sharing in the process. So it's a class that will help you really get a plan from scratch. Hata kama wewe hujawahi kufikiria mini retirement, this is a class that will get you from scratch all the way to having a proper plan, and not only a plan just for your mini retirement. Then after that, you need to fill in that 90 days action list. What will you be doing for the next 90 days? And then you have an accountability partner. That accountability partner of yours, every month you sit down, review that 90 days action plan. Umefanya nini? Umefikia wapi kwenye hili? Unafanyaje kuhusu hili? Unahitaji support gani? And then in the community mnaweza mkarudi sasa mkasema, labda mimi na my accountability partner ana struggle na hili swala, can we address this thing? And then mtu anaweza akashare kule kwamba yeye kwenye hilo swala alifanya hivi hivi. So it's not just one person that is working on the solutions. We are as a community because we know we need each other, because it's a fairly new concept ambayo bado Watanzania kuikubali, yani bado tu hawajakubali kuhusu kustaafu mapema. Sasa now we're bringing in mini retirements. Yani, how do you say mini retirements kwa Kiswahili? Kuna mtu amesema ni kustaafu kimini, but yani, I don't know how to say, but you pause, yani baada ya kustaafu mara moja unastaafu mara kadhaa kabla hujastaafu kabisa. Sijui kama na make sense, Neema Grace.
Una make a lot of sense, Neema, and thank you so much for that. Na nafikiri tunaendelea kujifunza wengi, kwa sababu baadhi yetu tunafikiri kustaafu ni mpaka miaka 60. Tunafikiri hatuna uchaguzi wa vitu tunavyoweza kuvifanya au kuto kuvifanya. Wengine wetu tunaamini pia kupumzika, hakuna kupumzika hasa ukiwa umeshaingia umri wa ajira au kufanya biashara, kwa sababu ya hofu ya kutokuwa na fedha ama hofu za vitu tofauti tofauti. Lakini wengine pia bado tupo kwa sababu tunafikiria hofu ya kwamba nitafikiriwaje, hofu ya kwamba nitajitambulishaje, hofu ya kwamba nitaelezeaje jamii kwamba nimepumzika kwa muda mfupi. Nafikiri there are a lot of questions ambazo tunajiuliza, first as women, lakini pia kama member wa familia, na nafikiria pia firstborns, nafikiria pia wives and husbands and vitu ambavyo wanafikiria tu, na nafikiri tunajifunza kitu kikubwa kuhusu kuamua kufanya kitu kwa ajili yetu, na kwamba kupumzika pia sio lazima iwe ni kitu ambacho kwa sababu unaumwa ama vipi, lakini ni kitu unachoweza kufanya kidogo kidogo tu katika siku zetu za kila siku. So thank you Neema again for saying that. I have very quick questions ambazo unabidi unijibu kwa haraka.
Okay.
Yeah. And you need to answer very fast. No time to think.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Can we start?
Yes.
And can you be answering this in 5 seconds each?
Okay.
Ajira au biashara?
Biashara.
Mshahara au uhuru wa muda?
Uhuru wa muda.
Promotion au amani ya akili?
Amani ya akili.
Kusave ama kuinvest?
Kuinvest.
Coffee au chai?
Coffee.
Usafiri au kukaa nyumbani?
Usafiri.
Asubuhi au usiku?
Usiku.
Bajeti au kufuatilia net worth? 5 seconds.
Kufuatilia net worth.
Stocks au real estate? Careful.
Stocks.
Utajiri au uhuru wa kifedha?
Uhuru wa kifedha.
Neno moja linaloelezea mini retirement yako. One word.
Adventurous.
Tabia moja ya kifedha ambayo kila mtu anatakiwa kujenga.
Tracking your expenses.
Sio ubaili? Okay. Kitabu kimoja kilichobadilisha maisha yako. 5 seconds. And it should be one book. 1,
It's so hard.
2,
Neema Grace, subiri kwanza.
3, 4.
The Psychology of Money.
Uwekezaji mmoja ambao kila kijana anatakiwa kuuelewa.
Hisa.
Thank you again, Neema, for today. I think this takes us to the end of the session today. Thank you for telling us your story. Thank you for showing up. And thank you for sharing everything you've talked to us about. And I think hii imetupa namna tofauti ya kuona, namna tofauti ya kufanya maamuzi ya kufanya mini retirement, na kujua tu kwamba mini retirement sio lazima uache kazi, lakini pia mini retirement sio lazima maana yake kwamba ni usifanye kazi kabisa, kwa sababu most of us thought it must just be sitting at home like a potato, but ideally it also means a lot of other things. And thank you for telling us that you also had worries, but then you knew at the end of the day they may not really matter. And thank you for telling us kwamba alignment ni kitu muhimu sana. So keep doing what you're doing. We're proud of you. Should you have more learnings around your journey, please feel free to talk to us about it, or make a post or two about the key things that you've learned from this, kwa sababu ni eneo ambalo nafikiri watu wengi tunatamani kufanya, lakini tuna hofu za pale na pale.
Just before you sign off, Neema Grace, I just want to say something. Tunaongelea ideas tofauti tofauti kwenye hii podcast, kwenye content tunazoziona on social media. I think tunachojaribu kusema ni kwamba we ni binadamu ulieumbwa na kusudi fulani na kitu fulani cha kufanya. So tunachokuomba wewe ni jitambue kwenye hiyo calling yako ni nini, unachotakiwa kufanya ni nini, na upate nguvu ya kuwaza tofauti na kufanya hicho kitu. Sisi tunashare stories zetu ili kukupa wewe nguvu. Sio lazima ufuate kile ninachofanya au anachofanya Neema Grace, lakini katika ile jambo lako ambao unaona kabisa ni tofauti na jamii inavyotaka, upate nguvu na wewe kutoka kwenye hiyo jambo na kufanya hicho kitu ambacho unatakiwa kufanya. Kumbuka haya maisha ni ya kwako wewe mwenyewe, script ya kwako wewe mwenyewe. Hamna kugelezeana. Everybody inabidi aishi maisha kama anavyotakiwa kuishi. So that's what I want people to understand. Atushare hizi story ili kwamba tuonekane sisi ni bora zaidi, sisi tuna akili zaidi. Hapana, tunakuambia wewe Neema Grace, hilo jambo lako uliokuwa nalo, you can do it because mimi nilikuwa na jambo langu na nikalifanyia kazi. That's all I wanted to end on that note.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Na hii nafikiri inatupa nguvu wengi wetu na kujua kwamba it's okay. And I'm so glad we have this chat, this Rich Aunties chat that keeps reminding us of that. Thank you again, and looking forward to hear more from you and all others. Bye.